everybody, how you going? It is so good to see you today. It's winter and we're at the beach and we came to film here at this pier, but it's closed due to significant concerns about its structural integrity. So we're not going up there. They've built a fence to stop us. So today I want to share a little bit of news. This is just a quick news update about a few different bits and pieces. And the first thing I wanted to talk about was we've had recent figures about April sales in the camera industry. And look, it's no surprise. I don't think anybody should be shocked at all, but the numbers are down. The next thing I want to talk about is my CF Express card reader. It's just arrived and that's super news. I'll just touch on that quickly. And then the final thing I wanted to touch on was that little old video, the one you can watch up here, that we did a couple of weeks ago, which was of course about the idea, is it possible for the Z mount to go larger than 35mm? And as an example, I just chose the GFX 100 because it's the smallest medium format, one of the smallest medium formats around, medium formats. And that particular video got picked up by three other services: Petapixel, Nikon Rumors, and F-Stoppers. They all picked it up, which was very exciting. And I was very happy to see that we actually were the third most viewed article on Nikon Rumors in the month of May. So that's very exciting. So I just want to talk about those things. Let's dive on in first to the camera industry. So let's talk about the industry. It's tough times for the industry. We are experiencing grey skies at the moment. C19 is a global scale phenomenon. And it's not just the photography industry that's affected. Many industries are affected. Perhaps 50% of industries are affected. And photographers are a really big one, like tourism and like catering and events. There's no weddings, there's no sport, there's no events, there's no music concerts, there's no carnivals. All these massive gatherings which have to be photographed, all of these things are on hold at the moment. And this means photographers are going, well, I'm not making any money, I'm certainly not going to spend any money. Now, where the numbers are sitting, interestingly, is they're down around 40 to 45%. And you'd kind of say to yourself, well, that feels right. And I'm actually surprised the reduction is that small. It could have easily been larger. Again, I'm expecting the usual slew of the end of the world, the end of an industry, the end of Nikon, the end of all sorts of different things. And what I wanted to talk about here more than anything else is just to reiterate things I've said in the last 12 months, which is Sony, Canon, Nikon, Fuji, Leica, so on. These are companies that have run at profits year after year after year after year. For years on end, they've run at profits. And sometimes those profits are enormous. Now, those profits, some of that ends up as cash in the bank. Some of those profits end up as assets to have ready for a rainy day. So even if a company has 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even 2 years, 8 bad quarters, as long as there's still cash, as long as there's still assets, as long as there's still fat to trim, it doesn't mean that it's the end of anything in particular. This is an unprecedented time. And in a way, it might mean that restructuring, changing how they do business and changing their approach is part of what makes them become more agile and more streamlined coming out of C19. So this could actually be considered a positive, and many companies, I think, would be thinking that way. We're gonna chop the fat that we couldn't really afford but we were holding on to, but now we have to change it. So a couple of bad quarters doesn't mean anything when you've had 45 good quarters before that. stop worrying about it. If we have 5 years like this, there's definitely something to worry about. But these companies have been around a long time. Companies like Nikon have been around for 100 years, and we've only had a few bad quarters at the moment. And they've put a press release out in the last couple of weeks stating their revised goals, their revised approach, and how they are going to do things differently. They are on an active footing to change what's going on. So stop worrying about it. Everybody, business as usual. If you still want to buy a camera and if you still want to do photography, I suggest business as usual and buy the camera that you love. These companies are enormous and they're not just going to give up. Well, the next thing I wanted to talk about is my CF Express cards. Now, I've had the cards for about 2 months. Using the CFX cards is great in the camera, and I've got 2 128 gigabyte SanDisk cards, but downloading them has been a real problem. Card readers in Australia have been extraordinarily difficult to come by. And just yesterday, this little guy arrived, and now I can finally read them at the 1,700 megabyte read speed via USB 3, USB-C connector. Prior to that, depending on which operating system I was using, I either had to use wireless connection, which is fine, it's Wi-Fi, but it was running at like 10 megabytes a second. Or on some of my computers, if they were more modern, I could do a USB-C connection, like a hardline, but that was also slower than this. So I'm really excited to say that CFX Express with this card reader, it works, it finally works great. This particular one from Sony is dual. It can do CFX Express and it can do XQD, which is great. So that's exciting news. And the final bit of news that I'm super excited to share with you is that the story that I did a couple of weeks ago about the potential of the Z mount having a larger sensor in there, well, it went a little bit viral. And we ended up on F-Stoppers, Petapixel, and Nikon Rumors. And that was absolutely great. We're so excited to see that story go out there. And then this morning, I happened to notice that we were the 3rd most read article on Nikon Rumors last month. So thank you to Nikon Rumors. Thank you to those other sites. I don't know you guys, but thank you very much. It was lovely for that story to be out there and get a little bit of traction. Will that ever happen? It's possible that it will never happen. But I've had a number of discussions and I'm working with a third party to try and actually prove that it's possible. We're trying to get a Nikon Z lens mounted onto my proper medium format digital Hasselblad, and we're going to try and see what the image area actually looks like. So over the coming weeks, I'll share with you how that experiment goes. Right now, I'm actually having a bit of trouble getting the digital back off my Hasselblad. I've never taken it off. I've never needed to. There was no point to do it. I only have the one. I've never taken it off. And now when I'm trying to take it off, I can't take it off. But I'd like to share more about that successful story in the coming weeks. So stay posted for that one. All right, everybody. Well, as usual, thank you so much for being here today. We are in winter, but the sun's out. It's quite a nice day. We've had some awful days, so I'm glad we're on our shooting day. We've been able to get out here. If you like what you see, please subscribe and come on back. I'd love to see you as well. Please share, please like, and you know, there are over 200 episodes that you can watch right now, so click on those as well. All right, I'll see you soon.